Imagine for a moment that somewhere out there, countless versions of you have died. Car accidents, diseases, random accidents, yet here you are, mysteriously alive and conscious in this particular reality. What if I told you this isn't just imagination, but a terrifying implication of quantum physics that suggests you can never actually experience your own death? This isn't science fiction. It's a hypothesis that's keeping quantum physicists up at night, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why your consciousness might be trapped in an eternal loop of survival. To understand this disturbing possibility, we need to start with one of the most famous thought experiments in physics, Schrödinger's cat. But forget everything you think you know about it, because the real implications are far more personal and unsettling. When Schrödinger proposed his famous experiment, where a cat in a box is simultaneously alive and dead until observed, he wasn't just describing a quirky quantum paradox, he was unknowingly opening the door to something far more disturbing about the nature of consciousness itself. You see, according to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, every possible outcome of every quantum event spawns its own universe. This isn't just theoretical physics, it's supported by the mathematics that has correctly predicted every quantum experiment we've ever conducted. But here's where it gets personal. Your consciousness isn't just passively observing these quantum splits, it's actively involved in them. Every time you face a potentially fatal situation, quantum mechanics suggests that multiple timelines branch off. In some of these branches, you die. But here's the catch that's keeping physicists awake at night. You can never experience the branches where you cease to exist. Think about your closest brush with death. Maybe it was a near miss on the highway, a childhood accident, or a medical emergency you somehow survived. According to quantum immortality theory and countless other universes, those incidents killed you. But your consciousness, bound by the rules of quantum mechanics, could only continue down the path where you survived. This isn't just philosophical speculation. It's a direct mathematical consequence of how quantum mechanics describes consciousness and observation. The implications get even more unsettling when we consider the famous quantum suicide thought experiment proposed by Max Tegmark. Imagine a quantum-triggered gun that fires based on a radioactive decay, an event that's truly random at the quantum level. If you pulled the trigger, quantum mechanics suggests that the universe would split into two branches, one where the gun fires and one where it doesn't. But here's the mind-bending part. You would only ever experience the branches where you survive. From your perspective, the gun would appear to malfunction every single time, defying all statistical probability. This isn't just theoretical speculation, we're seeing patterns that suggest quantum immortality might already be happening all around us. Consider the countless stories of people who have survived statistically impossible scenarios. There's the case of Vesna Vulovic, who survived a fall from 33,330 feet after her plane exploded, or Roy Sullivan, who was struck by lightning 7 times and survived each strike. Traditional probability says these events should be impossible. Yet from the perspective of quantum immortality, they're not just possible. They're inevitable in the timelines we can observe. The mathematics behind this is both beautiful and terrifying. In quantum mechanics, wave functions describe all possible states of a system, including your consciousness. When faced with a potentially fatal event, your wave function splits into multiple branches. But consciousness, as an observer, can only follow the branches where it continues to exist. It's like a cosmic game of probability, where you're forced to always win, because you can't experience losing. The price of this immortality, though, is that every survival becomes increasingly improbable from an outside perspective. This leads us to an even more disturbing implication. The older you get, the more statistically impossible your continued existence becomes. Think about it. If quantum immortality is real, your consciousness will always find a way to survive, no matter how improbable. But these survival scenarios become increasingly bizarre and unlikely. You might survive diseases through spontaneous remissions, accidents through incredible coincidences, or age through unprecedented biological quirks. From your perspective, you would experience an endless series of miraculous escapes from death, while everyone around you remains mortal. But here's where the theory becomes truly unsettling. What about the people around you? In your timeline, they can still die. You can attend their funerals, mourn their loss, and continue existing without them. But from their perspective, in their own timelines, they're experiencing their own version of quantum immortality. This creates a cosmic web of overlapping immortalities where each consciousness threads its way through an endless series of survivals, isolated in its own undying timeline. The evidence for this theory might be hiding in plain sight. Consider déjà vu. Those strange moments when you feel you've experienced something before. What if some of these aren't just brain glitches, but quantum echoes from death branches? What if these familiar feelings are bleed-through memories from timelines where you didn't survive? This could explain why déjà vu often occurs during potentially dangerous situations. Your consciousness might be remembering similar scenarios from fatal branches. The psychological implications of quantum immortality create a unique form of existential horror. Imagine being trapped in an endless existence, watching loved ones die while you continue through increasingly improbable survival scenarios. This isn't just theoretical. If the theory is correct, it's your inevitable future. As time goes on, you would find yourself surviving through increasingly unlikely circumstances, becoming a statistical anomaly that defies medical and scientific explanation. This brings us to the concept of quantum consciousness and its role in our perceived reality. The very fact that you're experiencing consciousness right now might be evidence of quantum immortality at work. After all, the probability of you being alive at this exact moment after billions of years of cosmic evolution, countless near misses in your ancestral line, and your own personal brushes with death is astronomically small. Yet here you are, conscious and aware, perhaps because your consciousness can only exist in the timelines where all those improbable survivals occurred. Consider the implications for aging itself. As you grow older, conventional wisdom says death becomes more likely. But under quantum immortality, your consciousness would always find the escape route, no matter how improbable. This could manifest as medical miracles, revolutionary treatments becoming available at just the right moment, or your body demonstrating unprecedented longevity. From an outside perspective, you would appear to be impossibly lucky. From your perspective, it would simply be the only possible experience. The theory also offers a disturbing explanation for why we never experience our own deaths. Traditional near-death experiences often include reports of tunnels of light, feelings of peace, or life flashing before one's eyes. But what if these aren't just hallucinations of a dying brain? What if they're the consciousness transitioning to survival branches, finding the quantum pathway where existence continues? This would explain why people who have near-death experiences often report feeling that their survival was meant to be, or that they were chosen to continue living. The connection to quantum physics becomes even more apparent when we consider the role of observation in reality. Just as the act of measuring a quantum particle determines its state, perhaps the act of experiencing consciousness determines the continuation of existence. Your awareness might be constantly collapsing quantum wave functions into states where you survive, creating an endless chain of conscious experiences that can never include your own cessation. But the true horror of quantum immortality isn't just personal, it's cosmic. As the universe itself ages, your consciousness would need to find increasingly elaborate ways to survive. Imagine existing through the death of our sun, the collision of galaxies, and even the heat death of the universe itself. According to quantum mechanics, there must always be a branch, no matter how improbable, where your consciousness continues. Perhaps through advanced technology, cosmic accidents, or phenomena we can't even conceive of yet, you would experience the ultimate form of cosmic loneliness, being the last conscious observer in an aging universe. This raises profound questions about the nature of reality itself. If consciousness can only experience survival, are we all living in incredibly improbable timelines already? Think about the odds against our universe being perfectly tuned for life, against Earth being in just the right position for intelligence to evolve, against humanity surviving countless potential extinction events. Perhaps we only find ourselves in this seemingly perfect scenario because consciousness can only experience the timelines where everything worked out just right. The implications for human advancement are equally staggering. If quantum immortality is real, then in some timeline humanity must solve every problem it faces. From climate change to cosmic disasters. Your consciousness would inevitably find itself in these success branches, experiencing a version of history where we overcame every obstacle. This could explain why we seem to repeatedly come back from the brink of disaster. We're observing only the branches where survival was possible. But here's the most disturbing thought of all. You can't opt out. If quantum immortality is real, you're already trapped in it. Every decision you make, every risk you take, only serves to create new branches where you survive. Your consciousness is like a quantum surfer, eternally riding the wave of probability towards survival, no matter how improbable that survival becomes. You are, in a very real sense, cursed with eternal existence. This leaves us with the ultimate question: how should you live, knowing you might be immortal? The answer might lie in embracing the infinite. If every version of you that can exist will exist, then perhaps the goal isn't to survive, but to thrive. To create branches of reality worth experiencing eternally. Because in the end, the real terror of quantum immortality isn't that you can't die, it's that you must live, through everything, forever. And somewhere out there, in the quantum maze of possibility, versions of you are already experiencing eternities we can't even imagine. This isn't just a theory anymore, it's a challenge to everything we thought we knew about existence. And while we may never be able to prove quantum immortality definitively, one thing is certain, you will never experience your own non-existence. Think about that the next time you have a close call or a moment of déjà vu. You might just be glimpsing the infinite branches of your eternal existence, stretching out forever into the quantum unknown.